Good evening, good day, everyone. Welcome to the Kappa office hours on October the 2nd, 2023. We abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically means be nice to each other. I've shared the meeting notes doc in the chat window. If you could add your name to the list of attendees, also add any agenda items you would like to discuss in the meeting. I'll do the same as well. Usually at the beginning of the meeting, we also give the opportunity for people that are new to the meeting just to say hello. So if you are new to the Kappa office hours, feel free just to unmute and say hello.
Hi everyone. I am Laksh. I am a final year computer science student, and currently I'm interning at Amazon. And I've been following this project for some time, but wasn't able to understand a lot. But then I did an internship, a DevOps internship, and basically I worked on custom resources and custom controllers. So after doing a deep dive there, I kind of understand a little bit of the project now. So I just want to join the meetings and see if I can discuss if there are issues or features currently being worked on that I can contribute to and maybe learn the project more now that I think I'm capable of.
Cool. Well, welcome, Lax. Yeah, we can definitely help out with that, whether it's in this meeting or async as well. But yeah, welcome, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
It's my turn, if you don't mind. So my name is Dario Zakitella, and I'm the CTO of Classics. And I also added one item to the agenda, and I would like to discuss with the community, to get it merged, or at least, trying to understand if we have some blockers or something like that. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Hey, Dario, welcome. Cool. Now that the introductions have been done, what we normally say is if you'd like to talk, if you could just use the raise hand features in Slack, it just allows us to moderate the conversation. So that would be good. So moving on to the agenda, so there are no PSAs this week, so we have a fairly light agenda, which is good. So Dario, back over to you.
Sure, thank you so much. So as I said to you, my role in Classics is developing some projects, and one of these is named Kamaji. And Kamaji essentially is running also the control planes in a management cluster. So it means that we are not running the control plane as virtual machines, but rather as pods. So far, we had to integrate our solution with multiple providers. And we faced several times some blockers because the infrastructure providers we were working with, they were giving for granted that the control plane was always based on virtual machines. And so far, what we did was to engage with the community, and we work with the OpenStack community and also with the KubeVirt one. And essentially, it will be great also to have the same chance to create managed control planes for AWS. We are not focusing in creating control plane in AWS, but rather is going to be offered by an external provider. So it means that the control plane is hosted on premises, or maybe even on a different infrastructure provider, or even on AWS. So what I did was to dig up the code of the Kappa infrastructure provider, and I tried to raise a merge request, a pull request, and essentially, thanks, Richard, this is the issue. Yeah, it's the issue, or no, it's the pull request, sorry. And essentially, I tried to implement that. And I received so far some comments and a review. So I just want to understand what I can do to get this merged, although I know it's a bit opinionated. So I'm also here trying to answer your questions and your remarks about this approach.
Okay, go for it.
So right now, as far as I can see, your only obstacle is the test failing. So I think you addressed most of the comments. Although I'm still trying to comprehend how the control plane got into that. But I understand that it's required since cluster API contract to determine if it's externally managed resides on the status. Right. Okay. So the status needs to have this thing. So the cluster API contract is fulfilled.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep in mind that it's pretty opinionated, and I was also in chat with Fabrizio Pandini from VMware that is maintaining cluster API, and so far, what we are doing is that we develop a cluster API control plane provider that is taking care of creating the managed control plane, and the managed control plane. After that, after we have a public IP, we are going to patch the infrastructure cluster with the provided IP by the managed control plane. So essentially what we need to do in the infrastructure provider is stop the creation of the load balancers, because we don't need the API server load balancer, because the control plane provider is, so we are offloading to the control plane provider essentially.
Right. Okay.
I know that annotation is not so great, and maybe we should change also the specification. But since it's a huge change, because we will need to bump, I don't know, the policy here with the cluster API for AWS, I would say minor or even major change. I was thinking that having an annotation, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to work like a nope.
Yeah. That's one of the original reasons we suggested it, wasn't it? So, you know, we didn't have to make an API change, but we could do it. I know Vince has brought that up here, hasn't he? Should it be an API field instead?
I mean, we can do also the API change, but I don't know. How do you want to steer the changes here?
I don't know. An annotation feels kind of appropriate, because annotations are used for configuration. So you're configuring it to not create a load balancer. I think that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
We are using annotations for all kinds of things, so it's fine. So I don't know, like, address the failing test and then you should be okay, I think.
Yeah, I think as it's an opt-in, isn't it, via the annotation, so it doesn't actually have any impact until that is there. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's anything really stopping us merging this. And the failing test is just it's just the Ginkgo or something, isn't it? Not Ginkgo.
Yeah, not a big problem. I mean, it's just a matter of goaling.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Yeah. So I think then we could just get it in. We could actually, yeah. So yeah, I don't see any. Are there any outstanding discussion points on it? Comments?
I resolved my comment. Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything that's really a blocker. So I guess the next question then is, so this is a new feature. So really this should go into our next minor version, which would be 2.3. How would people feel about that? Dario, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, it will be great, at least for me.
Cool. So what we can do then is, so this is the issue, isn't it? Yeah. So let's get it into the milestone, because that is that's the next discussion topic. Cool. So I guess the ask is as well, just more generally, is if anyone has any opinions on it, to get eyes on the PR before it merges, just to get their opinions heard. Otherwise, once the test goes green, we can get this merged. So I guess time is of the essence if you have an opinion on this. Cool. Any more on that topic? No.
Not from my side, thanks.
Cool. Right. I didn't have time to finish writing my agenda item, so this is, funny enough, this leads nicely on to releases. So we have two current. I will add proper notes afterwards. So there is some ask for a new release. So there's an ask for two releases essentially. So there are some bug fixes that people have been asking for. So that would they can go in. So our next release would be the 2.2.3. So that is currently shown as 100% complete. So we can release that. So just to give people, so we're bumping CAPI in that release, and we're also fixing an issue with the gateway IPs. So how would people feel about we do this release tomorrow or the next day? Any objections? Oh,
Ping me if you need help with that.
very strange.
I can hear you.
Hey, I can hear now again. Anyone think I'm on Linux? Going up and down.
So I said ping me if you need help with the release.
Okay,
I
cool.
think tomorrow I will have a tiny bit of time on my hand.
Okay, yeah, or we can do it the next day if that's better. Is that a better day? If you...
No.
Okay. So I will aim to do it maybe in the afternoon, just after lunch, just because we have a release to do in the morning internally where I work.
Okay.
So I'll ping you.
Okay.
Cool. So there is a reason why I wanted to do this release specifically, is because we have an issue with the K promo stuff that we keep running into with every release, and we just work around it. So I was going to fix that as part of the release process as well. So we can get that done. So, all right, I will aim to get this out tomorrow. So then the next one is the 2.3. So this is for new features. So we've just added, Dario, we just added yours to this. So I think there's a number of open features that we need to decide whether we want to get all of these in, wait for these, or punt some of these to the next release. So this one we can definitely get in. So what we just discussed. So implement machine pool machines. Cameron. You're on the call.
I am here.
I don't know what the state of that is, to be honest. I've been a bit lax lately, if I'm honest.
In 1.5 of the cluster API, it got merged in.
Cool. So we could start to get this in then, but you need the 1.5 in our side as well, don't you?
Yes, which I believe happened last week or the week before. One of those.
Yeah. Cool. I guess the question is, did you want us to hold the 2.3 release so you could get the machine pools in, or did we machine pool machines, or should we get it into the next release?
I mean, that sort of depends on what reviewers think. I think at this point, current state of this is that the implementation is fully there. It needs more end-to-end testing. So I need to write up some more tests for it. But I've been running it in Tilt, and I've, built some clusters with this, and it seems to work.
Nice. Exciting times. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'll give it a review as well. Yeah, like you say, we need to get some eyes on it from a reviewer's point of view, and then we can decide whether it goes into 2.3 or 2.4. 2.4 doesn't necessarily have to be that far after 2.3 if we have features to release. So, okay,
That sounds good.
cool. We were going to graduate the garbage collection feature as well. So really, this is just a case of switching the feature flag from false to true, and I would say probably also moving some of the end-to-end tests, because they are a separate test suite at the moment. We can just move them into the respective managed or unmanaged tests now that they'll be enabled by default. So that is a fairly easy one to do as well. Yeah, we do have a strange problem with how we do the releases. So this is okay. This is another interesting one. So depending on who does the release, because we build the binaries locally on our machines and upload them. Depending on who of us does this, whether it's Mac or Linux, we break out people running with Alpine. So discussion came up as to whether we need to actually start to automate the compilation of the binaries in a controlled environment. It is the same.
That is nasty.
Yeah. Yeah. This is groundbreaking idea. But yeah. It's something we
Yeah,
need
how
to do,
about
isn't it?
we start? Oops, sorry.
No. Maybe we can just we can do away with the hand raising now.
No, you're right. It popped up like we could, for beginners, for a start, we could do the building in a micro VM or in a container or something very isolated. Like at first, like popping up the whole CI environment and whatnot to build that thing on.
Cool. Yeah.
What do you think as a first step?
That's just multi-stage Docker file. I was thinking something.
Yeah, something
Simple.
like that.
Just simple. But yeah, I think it needs to be done, doesn't it?
Yep.
I actually found out that I was the culprit. So whenever I compiled them, it didn't work. So whenever Ankita did it, it worked. So yeah, it's very strange. So yeah. So we probably need to do that, I would say.
Before the release or next release or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 2.3, yeah. So once we release the 2.2, the patch, then we should fix the release.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we have the ability to specify AZs from the VM spec object? My mind is a bit.
VPC spec.
Yeah. This is where it does the automatic selection of the AZs. But we might want to specify them specifically. Seems reasonable. We got anyone working on this? No one is assigned.
I think there was
Okay.
a PR. I know it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, so we need So this is marked as help. Probably in the absence of no one actually working on this or being assigned, we could probably push this back to the next release. Yeah, because it's not going to get released unless someone works on it. So
I can take it on if you take on the release thing.
you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. If you want to do it. Cool.
Yup.
Then spot list of instance types in AWS managed machine pool. Have we had any discussion on this? Oof. How did this get closed? We don't know why it got closed. So we can follow up on this, resurrect the PR and hopefully get that in as well. That would be good as well. I don't know whether it was a mistake or I don't know. I have to go back and look through the discussion list. And then the last one is allow empty AMID again around AWS managed machine pool. Yeah, seems reasonable. Have we got anyone assigned? No one assigned. All right. So it needs a review. Okay. All right. I can add that to the list of reviews to review as well. Okay. You reviewed it anyway.
Oh God, I remember this. Can you scroll to the bottom, please? A bit up.
Here we go.
Yeah. So there, I should have answered this or something. I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't. I didn't reply. So the guy added this ismock to test that thing he wrote, a service factory or something like that. And I told him that you don't need that. Take a look at the other test, blah 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 blah. And then he replied that wall of text, and I spaced out. I don't know. Yeah, I need to come up with a better idea instead of the ismock. I'm sure he has some valid reasons. I don't like adding like a switch for testing. It usually doesn't end well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'll try to review it as well, and we can come up with something.
Okay.
So I think going back, I think it seems a reasonable list to get into 2.3, doesn't it? It doesn't seem too daunting. We want to get it out sooner rather than later. The only other change I would think we should think about is there is the ROSA support.
Oh yeah.
So this is experimental feature. We haven't assigned it to a release yet. So this is so you can run OpenShift in AWS. So this is only experimental. So it is a bit work in progress is probably the best way to describe it. While they work on the API for ROSA. So there'll be just lots of hard-coded values and things to do later, but I guess, are we okay to accept this in as an experimental feature when it is truly experimental, not in the usual sense where we haven't fleshed out all of everything, but even the backend API is experimental for ROSA. So would we be happy just merging this?
Yeah, I think honestly there is no real harm here. Like it is a new feature. It's barely touching anything existing, just like the API changes and whatnot, but it doesn't conforms to what is there. So I think it's fine.
Okay. So we could add this to the 2.3 as well then. Okay, sounds good. And one last one. This one. Restore subnet management feature. So we had a fairly big regression in how subnet creation is handled when we made a change to introduce support for cluster class. So this is reverting that functionality. So it basically allowed you to partially fill in the subnet specification, whereas and it would just pick up this, it would create the subnets for you. Whereas we're saying that the change for cluster class was either you specify the subnet ID, we let the subnets get created. There was no middle ground that originally existed before, and that broke a lot of people. So this change is reverting that. So there is a lot of pressure to get this in. But yeah, Andreas, go for it.
Yeah, so this originally also came from me as a bug and from other users. And this seems to introduce a new field called name, which is kind of a friendly name that shouldn't change. I was also having the same idea, but didn't introduce this into upstream Kappa yet. Should we probably name it key instead of name? Or is there something consistent with copy or some other provider where we have an idea like this? Something that only refers to something in the YAML or the spec, but does not end up in infrastructure as an actual name. So it could be confusing if we call it name. Just wondering, because some AWS resources can have a name, some can have a tag called name, which then is displayed. Some can have a tag called name, which is not displayed. So it's kind of super confusing. So it's just a small idea. Otherwise, I'm totally fine with this because I have this in my company as I basically did the revert, kind of the same thing as in this PR, but I didn't fix SSA. So I'm very happy about someone taking this over. And on top of this PR, I also want to add the test I had implemented just to cover that we don't get a regression again. So I'm quite happy with this. I can review it once more, but probably my suggestion would be to rename this to key, for example, or some other name of the field that makes sense.
I think that makes I think that name makes a lot more sense to so there's no ambiguity about the like you say, the name field. Does it actually relate to the name of the resource? So yeah, I think that'd be good, Andreas, if you could review and comment to that effect.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And as it's a bug and a critical urgent priority, we can get that into the 2.2.3. Did I say it was? Whatever the bug release is that we're going to do tomorrow or the next day. We can get that in there as well, assuming that they can change that field name in time. Go for it.
Honestly, we could even be specific and call it list key or map key or anything like more specific.
Yeah,
just to make it super clear what the field does and why is it there.
Yeah, I think I'm fairly agnostic, but yeah, I do think something other than the name is probably best, because it will confuse people that it will match the name of an AZ when it's not really.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I think if that's be good to add that suggestion on there as well. Go again if you could.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess Are there any other features that people would like into the next release, or bugs? No. Cool. Okay. Well, let's go back to the agenda. And hey, there we go. That is it. That is the end of the agenda. So are there any last minute topics anyone would like to discuss? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for attending. I will upload the recording and see everyone in 2 weeks or on Slack. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
See y'all. Bye bye.
Bye.